It's time for the Craig Reed Show, the most famous roadie in rock and roll. And here he is now, the stoned roadie, Craig Reed.
Hey there. What's your name, little girl? Yeah. My name's Craig Reed, the Stone Roadie, and those were my dogs, Leon and Wicker. I thought Griff was going to take a little more time on that one. We're just kind of getting started here, but we've spent enough time. This is like our third one, and we've spent enough time jibber jabbering about who I am and what I'm all about, why I think I'm qualified to do this podcast concerning Lynyrd Skynyrd. But all the other ones you've seen, the documentaries, you've seen quite a few, and movies and books and stuff, and they've all mostly been done by people who just did those things by hearsay, and I was actually there, so I think I'm pretty qualified to do this podcast for people that are still wondering what Lynyrd Skynyrd was all about. Gene Odom did a couple of books, and then Ron Eckerman did a book, and his book is real good. He actually did a video, audio book, and does it in audio, and did a bunch of voices, and he was trying to win an Emmy for a recording, with doing a voiceover type of thing, so it's actually pretty good. And there's been several, like I say, books and movies and this stuff done on this, and there's been a lot of controversy on actually what happened on the airplane, so we're just gonna not do any more jibber jabbering about saying who I am and soon who Griff is and what we're all about. We're just gonna jump right into this, and let's take a trip back in time to October 18th, 1977 in Lakeland, Florida. That was the flight we went through before we did Greenville, and where I'm for sure all you people heard about the airplane crash, telling about all the fire we saw coming out of the engines, and were we concerned, and what was going on about that. And that's really all I remember about that. I was just the beginning of the tour. You're kind of, I don't know. I was kind of busy on that tour. I was the guitar tech back then, and taking care of 3 guitars and that, and putting the rigs all together, and ordering all the strings and slides and picks and everything we needed for that tour. And so I was kind of busy, and so I really wasn't concerned, because the airplane itself was a very safe plane as far as I was concerned. As long as it had gas in it, we could more or less just fly it on one engine, was what I understood. The only concern we had, if it was over trees or water, we should be concerned if we ran out of gas, and danged if that ain't what happened, so we went from Lakeland to Greenville, and we must have had a hell of a time in Greenville, because when the limos took us back to the hotel, I don't know what we did that night when they dropped us off, but we must have pissed them off, because the next day we were all kind of under the weather, and we went to get limos to get to the airport like was all scheduled and stuff, and lo and behold, no limos. I guess we in them small towns like that, we've got funeral homes, and wherever there were limos, there weren't like limo companies back there. Most of them were funeral homes, and those guys are real picky about their cars, and kind of, I don't know what we did. We might have stuck stickers on it. Who knows what we did. We pissed them off. So they didn't show up. So me and Ron Eckerman and whoever else was kind of in a management, or what it had been in a management situation, which I had been. So we were we were all negotiating rides to get to the airport with cabs and stuff. And, once we got to the airport, I remember I was kind of the last one on the plane. Everybody was seated and stuff, and I kind of crawled on this plane all hung over, and they were sitting there at the card table, and Mark Howard was sitting there, and he just slid over to the outside of the plane, and I took the aisle seat, pointed backwards in the back of the plane. And I don't remember. We were the four guys that were playing cards. Me and Mark Howard and Ron Eckerman and Steve Lawler, and all of us that were there playing cards are all alive except for Ron Eckerman, who died a couple years ago.
Leukemia,
from
I believe it was.
cancer or whatever, or leukemia, whatever he had. I don't really remember what it was, but he wrote a book about the whole episode of the airplane crash, and talked about all of us sitting there and playing cards. Yeah, we got on the plane and we were playing cards, and I don't remember. Some people said we were sitting there for a long time waiting for Artemis with the engines running or whatever, waiting for Artemis to show up. And I don't remember that. I don't remember if we started playing cards and just lost track of time or whatever. But the only thing I remember really is we were in the air and we were playing cards, and we were really into a heavy game of poker, and I was winning a whole bunch of money. I think I was winning like $1,700, and they started talking about us running low on fuel, and we were so into this card game, we were just kind of going, yeah, well, we, as long as we got one in, as long as, I don't know what we were thinking. We were into this card game. Apparently we weren't thinking too good. But, the next thing they're saying, we're going to crash or whatever, or we're running low on fuel, and we're really low. And that's kind of what puzzles me some about things that some people said about we were really high in the air, and then they realized we were low on fuel, and we spiraled down and spiraled down and spiraled down, and we cleared the clouds, and Clayton Johnson yelled trees, and then we crashed a little bit after that. It's not the way I remember it. We're flying along this pipeline real low, and we're still playing cards. And I'm looking out the window, and I see we're in this pipeline, and I'm going, oh, wow, this is going to be crazy. We're going to belly slide it into this pipeline here we're out of fuel, and we'll probably knock the wings off, but man, this will be something to talk about, And I was kind of, well, before that, when they said we were running low on fuel, we were, I don't know, we could see the ground and stuff, and I was joking. I goes, like I said, I was winning a lot of money in this poker game, and I said, pull it over to that Shell station down there. I'll fill her up, and other people said they were scared to death, and I never was afraid. I just never feared death once. The whole time
do you
down.
Do you remember the pilots coming back and telling you anything?
No, I don't remember the pilots. I remember Gene Odom running up and down the aisle, and I remember Artemis. He was telling everybody to prepare and how to prepare, and to buckle your seat belts and put your head between your legs. And that's the part of Ron Eckerman's book where he's because we're sitting there playing cards, and in Ron Eckerman's audio book, he says that at that point Jim Brace grabbed the poker table and pulled it out of the floor and flung it to the back of the airplane. That was me. So Ron Eckerman is even a little confused about some of this stuff, as a lot of people were. There's a lot of, that was a tragic thing, man, for a lot of people seeing that stuff. But like after the first bang, 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 I was knocked out, and I don't remember anything after that. I woke up in the hospital, looked up at the ceiling, and I didn't know what happened. And I goes, where in the and then I realized I was in the hospital, and I goes, what the hell am I doing here? I thought I'd got my ass beat or something. And my soon-to-be ex-wife and my mother was standing there and said, well, you were in a plane crash, And I went, too freaking much, man. And at that time, I never even speculated anybody was hurt any worse than me. Never even thought about it, And they had me pretty drugged out. And it was a few days before I went. And things were kind of, I don't remember, things were kind of weird. But I think I talked about before when I was kind of semi-comatose and I just woke up that Peter Rudge and some other guy walked into my room and asked me how to get into my briefcase. Somehow my briefcase was somehow important, and then, we talked about the papers that people thought they were in there. Ronnie's divorce papers were supposed to be in that briefcase, and I don't remember that. I just remember that they were concerned about how to get into my briefcase when I woke up. But by the time I woke up, Ronnie and all those guys had already been buried. I was unconscious for a couple weeks, and when I finally asked what happened to people, they finally said, well, Cassie died. And I went, oh man. And they went, and Steve. And I went, and Dean was like my best friend, oh man, and then Ronnie, and I went, it's over, that was devastating. And at that point, I wanted no help from nobody. I told everybody I was leaving the hospital. I was done, and I was in shock. My mother was there. She didn't know what the hell to do. And I actually checked myself out. I signed papers that says I'm out of here. You guys want me to stay. But after that, I said, I'm leaving. And they goes, well, we need to hit you up with a shot of antibiotics. So they did, with morphine, knocked me out for a couple days. When I woke up, I said, okay, well, thanks for the trip, but I'm out of here. You ain't hit me with no more needles. And I couldn't rent a car. Damn, Macomb, Mississippi, you can't even rent a car, man. Then, so I rented a damn U-Haul truck, and I was going to take all my shit, my suitcases and all my shit that were all destroyed, and I wanted to take it. I couldn't put it on an airplane, so I was going to rent a U-Haul truck. My mother was going to go with me, and Leon Wilkinson's father caught us and said, what are you doing? And my mother said, he wants to drive this stuff and all this truck back to because I had everything I owned with me. I was going through a divorce. I had everything I owned with me. And I didn't know how else to get it home. I had all my papers and stuff, memorabilia and stuff I've saved over the years. And God almighty knows what else. Leon Wilkinson's father said, I will drive you back to Jacksonville. And we took the truck back. And Leon's father drove me and my mother back to Jacksonville. And I said, pull it over to that liquor store there before we left town. And I got me a bottle of Jack. And I sat back there and just got drunk as shit. And got to Jacksonville and had my car sitting there. And I had a Mercedes that you see at the airport. That's waiting for me in Jacksonville, so I had to go put a trailer hitch on that Mercedes and get a big old U-Haul trailer and load all my shit in there and what was left in my apartment that we were leaving and put it in this Mercedes and with a trailer, and driving back to Ohio with my mother, and I got my hand in a cast. My foot is broke. I got a massive concussion, and I'm driving, pulling a trailer with my mother, and with a bottle of Jack Daniels between my legs, rolling joints, and
And
and we
Leon's
went
dad, he didn't care about that.
and we
Oh,
went
this
through
was
this
after he dropped you off. Yeah.
construction area, and I got too close to one of those cones and knocked the mirror off that goes with the U-Haul thing, and my mother said, "Greg, you lost a mirror over here." I said, "Yeah, I seen that one. That was too much, wasn't it?" And she thought we were going to die. I mean, but I'm a good driver, I think I am, but there's people that won't ride with me. You know
So is this
that.
you and your mom going back to Ohio from Jacksonville then is what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. And drove straight through. I was drinking whiskey and probably, I don't know, I don't think I had anything to help me stay awake, but I was rolling joints and smoking them and drinking, driving, and I don't think we stopped. I drove the whole
And your
way.
mom was in the car when you were burning dubs?
Oh yeah. My mother was an angel. She never smoked, she never drank, and she didn't understand me. She talked real slow. She go, "Now, Craig," But we got back to Ohio, and that was the 1978, 77, 78. That was the worst winter in Ohio ever, in Akron, Canton area. Worst. It snowed. So it snowed, so it was ridiculous. The snow of 78, they called it, was ridiculous. So right away, I had people calling me, want me to go back to work because I was the guitar tech for the Guitar Army, and everybody, and having that kind of a title, people think you're something special. And so I had people calling me. Thanks to Kevin Nelson and Clayton Johnson. I mean, they were telling the people because they were. I don't think they were hurt all that bad. I remember me and Clayton in the hospital together for a few days, and doing some things, um, but they kind of got me. Actually, when I started, they asked me if I wanted to go to work with Cheap Trick. I said, "How many guitars they got?" And he goes, "28." And I goes, "No, thank you." 'Cause Skynyrd had 10, 3 guitar players and a bass player. They had 10 guitars.
Yeah.
Is all they could carry, because Ronnie wouldn't let them do a bunch of guitar changes. So find one that play. And Alan had a couple he played, but they all had a spare. And Gary has 2 anyway, and then a spare. So, and then Steve had his Strat and his Les Paul, and I don't remember another one him having, but we had 10 altogether. But anyway, so yeah, then I went to work with Foreigner, did a world tour with Foreigner, and then I did a world tour with Journey in 1979. And then Gary called me, or I called Gary, I don't know, and he goes, "Hey, we're putting a band back together. Do you want to join?" I go, "God, yeah, right. I'm on my way." So I went down there, and it was just Gary and Alan, and they had no idea who their singer was going to be. And since I'd worked with Foreigner, they said, "Man, get a hold of Lou Graham." At that time, Foreigner was big, and I said, "I don't think Lou's going to leave Foreigner to be part of Rossington Collins. I don't think that's going to happen." So I said, "Well, how about Paul Rogers?" I tried to get a hold of these people and pledge them, and Greg Allman kind of auditioned a little bit, and he was kind of wanted to be the Greg Allman band or whatever, and then
Is that around the time Leslie West was gonna do
no,
something?
that was a third guitar player type
Oh,
scenario.
okay.
Then when they were looking for a third guitar player, and Ronnie wasn't going to let Leslie West headline over. So anyway, so they said, You know, the best way to get a hold of away from getting somebody that's going to try to replace Ronnie, get a woman, a female singer. So Dale Krantz was there with 38 Special, and she was the backup singer, and she was actually married to Raymond, our drum roadie, So they kind of, got together, and man, that was a really great band with Barry Harwood and Randall Hall. My God, Randall was so good. Journey's manager, Herbie, when he came to the show in California, the San Francisco area, I was talking to him during the sound check, and he goes, my God, where'd you find that guitar player? Talking about Randall. He was really, really good. The whole band was phenomenal. My God, up in New Jersey, they ripped the fans ripped the 3 rows of chairs right out of the floor. It was just it was crazy. I mean, it was like Lynyrd Skynyrd, but then Alan and Gary kind of had a outing, but at that time there were people stopping over at Gary's and Dale's all the time with drugs. Hey man, we got Quaalude, we got whatever, and they couldn't get away from it. You just couldn't get away from it. Besides what they did on their own, because when we left, it was kind of chaos when Gary and Alan were fighting out by the pool. I won't get into a lot of details about what was going on, but yeah, the next day Gary was gone and Dale was gone, and
So that was the end of that.
Me and Alan, and I was over to Alan's. He's like, "Why you hanging around me? You're Gary's buddy." I said, well, Gary's gone, I need another buddy, So, but, it wasn't really that way, but me and Gary were pretty close for a while, long time, but I was really close with everybody. Alan, like I said, after that, Alan and I became inseparable. God, I lived with Alan trying to get him to straighten up, and an alcoholic trying to straighten up an alcoholic. There's a scenario worth writing about. But me and Leon, Leon lived with me from during the late 80s, and I'll talk more about that. I actually have a vest that he gave me that there's a few stories behind it. Leon, Billy and me, my God, I used to drive Billy to the rehearsal every day in Alan's 32 Plymouth Coupe, the hot rod that I had. There's a bunch of stories there, and then I got a bunch of stories about me and Billy out fishing and stuff, and then I guess then I went to work with Marshall Tucker and did Marshall Tucker for like 7 years until, well, in and out for 7 years, but 87, the tribute band started, and that was pretty crazy. Johnny was scared to death, I mean, granted, he should be trying to fill his brother's shoes, and people always kind of was speculating what was going on and whether it was right to have Ronnie's brother there and what I thought about it, and he didn't compare to Ronnie and this and that and the other things. Johnny's great, man. I mean, he stepped in there like a big boy, man, and just put on them pants. That's hard shoes to fill, but Ronnie didn't wear shoes, so that's a kind of a weird thing to say. But yeah, he took a lot of ass to get up there and do that, and it was never weird to me because it was always meant to be. Ronnie told me several times, Craig, my voice is about gone. You've seen it. You see me spit blood. I can't do this much longer. One of these days, pretty soon, my brother Johnny's going to have to do this, and I've tried to keep him away from the bad stuff, the drinking and the smoking and all that, and he's going to end up singing my songs, and I'm going to write and manage, and But you know, Ronnie said he wouldn't live to be 30, so I don't know what how much of that is kind of, you know, Twilight Zoney, you know, that he knew that. But if Ronnie were here today, Johnny would still be singing Ronnie's songs, more or less.
Yeah, but pretty much though, you know,
Yeah, but, you know, it's kind of
the same band.
Ronnie wouldn't be doing it because a singer can't spit blood in their 20s and be singing in their 70s, you know. I don't, in my opinion, you know. And there's a lot of this podcast gonna be my opinion and stuff, because my God, there was so many people on this thing, and everybody's got an opinion about like the plane crash. Oh my God, there's so many scenarios, but there's only a few of us that were there that can give their honest opinion. And we're going to try to, you know, get these people together. Even some of the rescuers. I mean, I had one of the rescuers' kids, and he was like 15, and his dad told him all about what was going on, and then he talked to a nurse that actually said Ronnie was alive after the crash, and that, I don't know if he was awake or whatever, but he had a pulse or whatever. I don't know, but he was alive. And the same woman said that Steve, she was holding Steve in her arms, and he was going, "I'm cold, I'm cold, I'm cold." And I guess that means that you're bleeding inside, you know. But you know, that's about all I want to talk about the plane crash and all that stuff today. I think it's probably been about 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, we have like
that.
3 minutes.
Yeah, I've been babbling on, you know, but if we go past about 20, 25 minutes, it just takes a long time to download these things. And people want to, I've kind of told people I was going to do one of these things today, and I hope I got into a little more meat about stuff than I wanted to really get into more details about some things. But, you know, once I get rolling in a bad direction, I kind of get lost, you know, so I don't want to go in that direction today. Griff always asking me questions, and I'll take off to answer that question and get lost and go somewhere else. I don't know. He asked me something last week again, and I kind of got lost, you know.
Yeah, a lot of people, Craig, a lot of people were asking because you said the plane crashed in 74, and you know, I saw a lot of notes on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked from
that was a test for the fans.
Oh, and what else was there that I needed to well, the part about Tim living in Gary's friend that was the stable guy, living in North Carolina. He's from Tennessee. Hey, Tim. Yeah, he's cool. He's going to get on here too. The guy that did Gary's horses and stuff, and kind of hung around with Alan and seen some different stuff that I didn't even know about, you know. And you know, a lot of things I don't know about, and there's a lot of people out there that have stories I don't know, you know. But they weren't people that were with the band on the road, and because I was, like I said, I was invited everywhere they went, you know. So that's why I feel I'm kind of qualified to do this. I might not be the best storyteller, but I'm not gonna tell you anything that I didn't actually observe or relatively figure that the way everybody tells the story the same, that's pretty much what happened, you know. So I guess we're gonna cut it off now, and I hope we've enlightened some people on a couple of things, and we'll try to get into some other things later. You want to finish off with anything off, Griff?
Yeah, just you know, there's going to be some more plane crash stuff, but it's going to be with other people that, you know, we can get on the podcast, and at hopefully at the same time, and you know, everybody that can share their opinion, because there's all kinds of opinions, but it's you know, it's still debatable about what happened and things, but we're going to get to the bottom of it. And so it looks like we're about 30 minutes into this podcast, and stay tuned for the next one. You guys on the fan sites, if you want to shoot some questions, send them over to Griff Martin's Messenger, and I'll go through there and look at them, and we'll get some questions for Craig. So it looks like a wrap. Hey, Craig.
All righty. That's a wrap. Cut.